Hey everybody, welcome to AMN's very first nursing roundtable. My name's Anne, I am a NICU nurse. I have been with AMN for 5 years, and I'm so excited to be doing this with you guys. It is Nurses Month, so it's no better of a time than right now to do this and us all talk about what's important and relevant in nursing right now. This is my first time meeting all of you, and I think something really interesting is we all currently are working for the same facility. And 3 of you knew each other, but you didn't know you were coming to this?
Yeah, that was surprising this morning. We were pleasantly surprised, was.
Yeah, you two were like, hey, wait, we just gave report to each other.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's so cool about travel nursing, and especially with AMN. You know, we just kind of bring people together, and it's so small of a world that we just run into people that we never thought we'd see again in the most random places. Something that we always ask each other is why we're nurses, what made us become a nurse. Does anybody have something that happened that made them take that route into nursing?
Well, actually, I do. My great-grandmother, she was diagnosed with dementia. At that particular time, I had no idea what dementia was. I'm like, you know, she saw me, and she's like, hi. And then 20 minutes later, she's like, who are you? So for me as a child, that was confusing.
Yeah.
I spoke to my mom, and I said, well, how does she not know who I am? And then she tried to explain it to me. So that got me intrigued, you know, even as I was getting older, which said, hey, and then I wanted to feel that sense of caring for him because I felt like sorry, like I wanted to do my part. That is initially what made me peek into wanting to be a nurse.
Anyone else have a good why, or what keeps you in healthcare? We can all go to school because we think nursing is amazing, but why do we stay?
Well, I started out in the lab field, so I was a medical technologist working in chemistry for probably about 10, 11 years. And it was just me and the microscope and all the specimens coming in and no people. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this can't be. This is, you know, what I thought it would be. It's like you really don't get to see anyone. And so I was always curious to know, like, I'd like to see the patients, you know, and talk to them. And the only time I really got to speak with anyone was if I had a panic value. Then I could call the doctor or the nurse and say, hey, you need to check this patient out.
Yeah.
But I was always curious, like, what's going on with the patient. So I talked with my parents about it, and you know, my mother, my father, they always wanted me to be a nurse. And I'm like, no. But my mother said, you know, think about it. Maybe you need to be a nurse. And I'm like, yeah, probably do, because then I could get to see what's going on with the person and actually talk to them and get more involved and be a little bit more helpful. So I've really enjoyed it.
What is your why, TJ? What did you do before being a nurse? I know, but I want you to say it.
In 2011, I met my wife, who was a nurse, who had a client or a patient that was extremely wealthy, who was a developer in Cabo San Lucas and Newport Beach. So he flew back and forth. And at the time, I was living in Cabo San Lucas. I had lived there for 13 years. I sold timeshare down there. No medical history. I did go to the fire academy at Palomar College when I was 17 years old. Got my EMT certification, so I did have a little bit. I was a volunteer firefighter for a few years. We got acquainted in Cabo San Lucas when she was going back and forth with her patient. We dated back and forth, and then a decision had to be made whether she was going to be moving down there or I was going to be moving up here. And the decision was made to move up here, and you know, very unoriginally, I said, I'll just do what you do. And she was a nurse, so she put me through nursing school. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's that like, both of you being nurses? This is always something that I find intriguing, because when I go home, I don't want to talk about really what goes on.
I mean, it's interesting because there's some stuff that you really do want to get off your chest that only somebody with experience or in the medical field would understand. So you bounce that off, and you know, it's something that you might want to get off your chest, or just something interesting that may have happened to you during the day. Yeah.
Speaking of interesting things that happen during the day, is there one thing that sticks with you?
When you get a patient and there's a thing called like continuity of care. You see a patient come in that's unstable, and you know you've worked with them, you've cared for them, you've medicated them, you've dealt with family interactions, you've educated the patient, the family, helped them follow the treatment plan, all those things, and to finally, upon discharge day, see the growth or how the healing process and the plan actually worked, it's kind of fulfilling for yourself too. So I think that's the good thing for me. When I can see that there's something that I've done that's helped this person, not alone the patient, but the family as well, it's gratifying to me. So I think that's it, watching the steps of healing and going in a great positive direction. That's how it helps me.
Is there any piece of advice you could give to a new nurse starting out? I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but travel nurses on assignment get the students. And I try to make that, my time to be like, okay, I'm going to teach you all these things. But what is one thing when those students are put with us, or when you meet someone just starting out, what is one thing you can hand off to them?
Just staying humble and acknowledging that you don't know everything, and be okay with asking questions. I think that a lot of new nurses think they need to know it all, but that's not the case. This is a profession where we're constantly learning, and it's a team effort, and I think it's important to ask the question instead of doing a mistake that can potentially cause harm to a patient. So,
yeah, you actually gave me the chills on that, because that's something that I think everyone should know, even in every step of our career. We're all in different phases of our careers right now, and I don't know everything. I like to know as much as I can because I want to be a good nurse, but I'm not afraid to be like, why? Why are we doing that? Why was it okay 5 years ago and it's not okay now? That just shows the advancements that we make every day, every year in healthcare.
In nursing, you never stop learning. You're continuously learning new things based off evidence-based practice, however it goes. So don't try so hard to be a perfect nurse, because I don't even think that exists. No. But what I would say is be more of a sponge. Absorb information, because schooling and in a clinical sense is two different things. Mm-hmm. They can go together to promote optimal health, but you do have to be okay with learning. There is no wrong question. I would more so less rather you ask something that you would think that does not make sense, as opposed to doing something that does not make sense.
Yeah.
Because we're there to care for patients. So, and then plan your work and work your plan. That's just my motto.
I think traveling, in the beginning, people are like, why did you become a travel nurse? And for me, I followed a guy to San Diego. Full disclosure.
Why are you traveling?
But hey, it all worked out, because here we are, right? But I learned so much through that. And what I learned, and something that you were saying, is nursing doesn't change. Healthcare, it does change, but it's still nursing. But the way people do the same task doesn't mean how we learned was wrong or right, or how they do it is wrong or right. And I think that's a hard thing coming in as a traveler with your 3 days of orientation, and you hit the floor running, and how they change that PICC line dressing, or how they, do trach changes may not be how you learned, but you have to, kind of conform rather quickly to abide by that facility's way of doing things. And it's not that we're wrong, and it's not that they're wrong, but you have to have confidence as a travel nurse too. You have to be confident in the skills that you know, and you know well.
I will say this though, you have to have confidence. I agree with that. But just make sure you don't have too much confidence, because it's kind of like they don't want you to act as if you know everything, but they also want you to be competent too as well.
That's a hard balance.
You do more listening than speaking, I would say. And just, understanding the facility that you're at. Also making sure that what they're asking you to do is within your scope, and you feel comfortable doing it. Another thing is people say, well, we put in G-tubes here. And the traveler could not feel comfortable with it. So it is your job as well to speak up and say, I understand you do it here, but I don't necessarily feel comfortable with doing it.
Right.
Because once you do something, that's a patient. So you got to be careful with that too.
A lot of people think that to be well-rounded, you have to travel only internationally, but within our country, you can travel. And I know I can my personal experience is that travel nursing has maybe become a better communicator, because I'm from the East Coast, went to the West Coast, and things are a little different. And being able to acclimate into the culture, the nursing culture, I think is a valuable skill to have, and travel nursing helped me get that.
It's adventurous, really. You know, when you think about it, you know, you can just, the autonomy, you can select where you'd like to go. I think I'll go here. I think I'll go there. Maybe I'll work, you know, a few months and then take some time off and then come back to it. So there's a lot of benefits to it, definitely. And at different points in your life, you can say, well, I need to be in this state at this particular time or in this area. And it really is a bridge to help you to get to that point for whatever purpose in your life is going on at that particular time. And then you can share your skills with everyone, because as a traveler, you are well-rounded, and you just don't realize how much you pick up from the environment. And, you know, from everybody that you learn from along the way. It's a growth experience.
Our jobs are stressful, they are, you know, but there are positives that happen, but at the end of the day, sometimes we can feel pretty drained. What are some ways that you can bring that light back into mid-shift, you know, and not even at the end of the day, because we can all decompress in our own way when we leave, but how do we bring that light back or fill our cup back mid-shift after we just had something difficult happen?
For me, I like to just get up and take a short walk, a brisk walk or something, kind of clear my mind a little bit, and then come back to it. But as a case manager, it's a little different, you know, because I'm not directly working with the patients at this time, but it's very important to get everything right. So it is stressful as well, even though you're not in the room with the patient all the time. I do talk with them and that, but it can get a little bit complicated. Because you might have something coming at you in this direction and that direction. You've got a lot on your plate, and, you know, what do? Well, you have to take a break from that, at least a minute or so, get out and walk around a little bit, and that helps get through the shift.
TJ, you were going to say something.
Oh, I listen to music. Most people tend to like it, so that's, you know, it provides a little bit of levity in a serious-ish environment. So.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I want to make this more fun, and something we were talking about before we sat down to do this all together was, you know, what is one item that if we leave the house without it, are we stressed for the rest of the day? Like, what is our comfort item, or what is our survival tool that we need to get through a shift?
I have it with me right now.
Oh, you have it with you?
I can't, I'm extreme. These carry me through the day. That, and if I'm not at work at least 30 minutes early, I'm stressed for the rest of the day. So I usually get to work about 45 minutes before my shift starts, so I can sit there and look up my patients.
My plan initially, when I get to work, is to create a plan. Look at my highest acuity patient, figure out my meds, this, that, and the third, and the plan. And then I want to try to approach it, which is going to be the least stressful for me, even though we all know anything can happen. But if it gets to a point where I am overstressed and I go to break, I just bring my little portable heater and I play my little calming music on my break. I just kind of, you know, decompress, just relax a little bit, and probably create a new plan, which is going to be a little less stressful going forward, and just get right back into it.
Okay, well, let's talk about AMN, why we're all here. What brought you to AMN, and why do you stay with AMN?
So going back to when I was in nursing school at Wayne State University, our professor talked to all of us about the options of travel nursing. I had never heard of it before, so I was like intrigued by that. And an opportunity came up for me to travel. I have some relatives that were in the San Diego area, and they said, you know, we really need nurses out here. I have to give up my friends, and like, you know, TJ was saying, the camaraderie that you share with the people that you work with, that was so important to me. But I decided, well, I think I'll give it a try. So I did that, and I've kind of taken some jobs, some other full-time jobs, and, you know, periodically, but I've always come back to AMN. And I think it's because they offer the most. They're very consistent. You can trust what they do, with housing and everything, the contract, everything is really very well communicated. So I really have stuck with the AMN.
Yeah. Consistency
Yes.
and honesty.
Yes, honesty.
Yeah.
You can trust.
I think it comes down to recruiters, and that's something that I hear personally out on assignments is it's like, oh, my recruiter, and it's like it comes down to that. And I think recruitment starts at the very top. In my experience with AMN, I was exclusive with them other than one contract, and I don't ever want to go back because you have such an expectation here and the treatment here, and like you feel important. You're not just, oh, okay, here's your job, good luck. It's like, how's it going? What do you need? And to have a company that supports you, I think is huge.
I was actually introduced to AMN when I was a second-year nurse in my hometown in Boston, and there was a travel nurse on our unit. I said, oh, I guess I should pick her brain about travel nursing. And she said, oh, I'm with AMN. And she looked very confident in what she was doing and just very happy with her recruiters. So it was through networking that I met my recruiters. And I linked up with them. And I remember my very first assignment, which was during the COVID. And I was not happy at this assignment, to say the least. And my recruiter stepped in and was like, okay, we're going to switch up the assignment. You're going to go to a level 1. Where it's very structured, and that's where I came from. So I think that was very helpful to go from structured to structured as an introduction to travel nursing, because it helped me to conform a little better to the new environment that I was in. So like you said earlier, the recruiters are so important.
I always say I've been lucky, but then I've realized, no, I think as I said before, it comes down from the top. There's an expectation for you to behave that way and give that treatment consistently amongst the nurses and all the clients that AMN provides, services to, and it's felt and it's seen personally. And I, from what you guys have shared, I think that we can agree on that.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm sorry, but I feel as if I have the best recruiter.
No, I have the best recruiter.
I have to break the ice.
Let's get them all in here.
I mean, I cannot even find the words to describe how much my recruiter has helped me. I can even think about a time just recently. I was leaving New York and I was getting ready to come to California, and I worked with quite a few different recruiters as well in my time, but I had the contract, and for some reason the facility they basically kind of didn't need the travelers to come out at that time. So I'm like, wow. I'm like, I've set up my housing, I've done all this and done all that, and when I tell you my recruiter, she 10 toes down, she found me another assignment within 30 miles away. I could keep my same housing. For me, AMN is consistent. They're consistent with pay, with being helpful, and then the department where you call if you have payroll questions, they're phenomenal. Yeah. They can pull everything up, get everything done. It's in, it's signed, you got your email. I mean, it's beyond expectation, I would say.
So to wrap this up, I think it would be really fun for us to go around and describe AMN in one word.
I would say trustful.
I would have to go with consistent.
Reliable.
Dependable.
And honest. So thank you guys for joining me, and thank you AMN for bringing us all together and meeting each other. I'm excited.
Happy Nurses Month.